a lot of times and stuff in our community though, like that's the solution. People don't really like necessarily see like mental health is like if you kind of like when I was growing up, it was like a real stigma. I feel like it's gotten a little bit like, more clear where it's more acceptable for people to kind of like get mental health help. But like it was a stigma, like you're weak if you got to go like talk to a therapist or, how did you like,
Absolutely.
develop like, the mindset, like, this is something and stuff that could be helpful to me. Cause like I have friends who like, so I have a friend who suffers with depression and like, it gave me like a little bit of an understanding. Cause like, if you don't deal with those problems and people don't really talk to you about them, you won't necessarily know what people are going through or like how they're feeling and stuff like, where it could be like, they're dealing with something and stuff, everything that's like crushing them. And like, if they don't really speak up, you wouldn't even know. Cause
Bingo.
yeah,
Bingo.
yeah. Like, and I think like, what I mean? It's like, if you don't deal with those, like you wouldn't even know. And I've had like friends and stuff, I think like, that have committed suicide and like it wasn't even like necessarily like a sign, like, like they seemed like they're just trying to make it. And like, you're not really like paying attention to the fact that this person's suffering or like, necessarily not even that the problem was probably bigger than me. Like, not even to say that I could have done anything that would have helped
Absolutely.
aided in this situation, but maybe it would have been like, better to be aware, so like if I could have like, suggested for people and stuff to seek help, like
Absolutely.
how can you pay attention to like, people who are you or around you that maybe their mental health state isn't good? Because like, I've had friends that commit suicide, overdose. I had like, the one girl, she was a really good friend of mine, like Amara Romani, the adult film star Erica Libanati, and
Hmm.
she just drug overdosed. And like I
Hmm.
talked to her, like, but like maybe like I should have been like, being like, yo, like, what I mean, you should get help instead of like, doing drugs, like as a friend, like did I fail her, because it's like, and stuff instead of like, I'm not I don't want to tell anybody how to live, but like
No, I'm gonna say you didn't fail her because unfortunately, with mental illness, a person is going to do what they want to do and they're going to receive the help when they're ready.
a true right.
So
Like
you, even
it,
though you said you could have mentioned it, but you didn't fail her.
yeah, like I wonder about that. Like, what I mean? Not to say though, like I think she was one of those people who was gonna do what she wanted to do anyway. Like, I don't think like, necessarily like me saying, and there were times like where we did have that discussion. And like, the last discussion we had, like, she seemed to be like, that was like kind of like the path that she was leaning, but also like she could have just been telling me that, and stuff like it makes me wonder, like, it's like, could where was that really what she wanted to do? Like obviously how it ended, but like how can we be better as friends to people we know who are dealing with substance abuse issues and then mental health issues as well? How can we support people even if they don't necessarily want help? They may not see a problem sometimes because like I feel like there's a lot of people and stuff they don't nobody wants to be told what to do in this world.
Mhm.
Like even if like you do know what's best. Because I've been out at the bar with people and like and stuff. Like when you're at the bar with someone like yo, you've had it like way too much to drink. You need to stop. And that's like sometimes an uncomfortable conversation. Even and like what I mean. And stuff. Maybe the next morning they might be like yo, like or people be like I do this or like I think like a lot of times people feel like they're you know uh they have like free will, but like when you want to see the best in people, like when do you intervene? When do you say this is enough? You know?
You can typically tell if you're around a person for a long period of time, especially years at a time. You can tell when that person is dwindling down, especially if they experience some traumatic things in their life or in their past or in the current day. You can typically tell when somebody's spiraling.